So I was actually just gonna start recording over here like I usually do, but then I decided why not just put up a Christmas tree here, and I'm just gonna turn off the lights now because it looks really cool in the darkness. Oh, look at those lovely colours. Now I have to quickly think of a new recording space. Also, look what I've started reading. This book is so good and it's such a great story as well. Can't fault it. Hello everyone, welcome back to another video on my channel. As you can probably tell by the title, I was about to say what's in front of you, but you can't really tell by what's in front of you because it's just a green bowl. I am going to be selecting random classic stories out of this lovely green bowl that I have and reviewing them in a very short amount of time. So I've seen a few people do this. I was going to call it like a trend, but it's not really a trend, is it? I'm just sort of video stealing because I'm bored. And anyway, happy December, it's Advent now and run up to Christmas. My examinations should be over next week, so that means I can get out a lot more videos for you guys. But anyway, without further ado, let's just get on with these reviews because that's what you're here to see after all and not me rambling on. So basically how it works, I'm going to just select one at random and give you my thoughts on it because I have watched every story, not to flex or anything, but and if it's a missing story, then sorry, it's going back in, or I'll just talk about it briefly. Okay, I've got one. It's Pyramids of Mars. Oh, what a good one to start on. Yeah, Pyramids of Mars, that's a brilliant story, isn't it? I mean, it's got the Fourth Doctor in, obviously. It's one I haven't watched in a good while, actually. It's probably one that I'd like to rewatch in the new year, hopefully at some point. But Pyramids of Mars is just great. It's got Sarah in, it's from season 13. The mummies are brilliant as well. I'll just get a little few figures just to represent the story. Ta-da! This is the only figure from Pyramids of Mars I could find, but lol, great story. Yeah, the villains are cool, and Sutek the Destroyer, oh my god, he would be quite a cool villain to return actually, so I'll give him that. Next story, what should we get? I'll move Pyramids out aside so we don't pull it out again. Ooh, we've got Revelation of the Daleks. Oh, sorry, that's not in camera at all. Is that the... That's the Colin Baker one, isn't it? Yeah, come on, Seb. Keep with it. Again, this is slightly awkward because this is a story that I haven't seen in a good while and it hopefully is one that I'll be watching in the new year. But it's quite good, actually. From what I remember, quite a bleak, dark story. I remember a DJ in this one where that was just a bit annoying, really, and I'm glad he got killed off. Yeah, not much to say on this one. I think it's the last one of season 22, which is quite a mixed season in my opinion. I'm not really a fan of Colin's episodes as such, but yeah, it's an interesting story, and I'm not complaining. I just wouldn't like to put a definite score on it when I could be a little bit wrong. What have we got? Oh, the Time Monster. I have some thoughts on this one. Now, the Time Monster is a story I watched back in about April, and I went in with very low expectations because I had maybe watched it once when it first came out, but I was thinking, I don't remember a thing from this story, and I know that most people just don't like it, so I stuck it on, and whoa, was I so surprised. I had heard, it was going to be this like Atlantis story, and actually that doesn't come in until about part 5 because it's 6 parts, and the first 4 parts are brilliant, absolutely amazing. The last 2 parts are not as great, but still enjoyable, I'd say. I think I gave it like an 8 or an 8.5. It's just so cool and really underrated, and I love it. And some of the scenes were actually filmed near where I live as well, so I don't know if that's maybe, a little soft spot in my heart there, but The Time Monster is a brilliant story, and if you're ever being put off by guessing it, I would really recommend you to just go for it, because it's not all bad, and it has got the Brigadier in, who's absolutely brilliant. The Master here is great. Everyone's on top form in this story, so no complaints there. I wonder what the next story will be, though. So we've had a Pertwee, we've had a Tom, we've had a Sixie. Let's go with this story. The Ice Warriors. Ooh. So the Ice Warriors is a pretty good story, actually. It's the first story that introduces the Ice Warriors, and obviously did something correctly because they're one of the show's most iconic villains now. And I wouldn't say I absolutely love it actually. I would just say it's a very strong story. Again, it's one that I haven't watched in a while and I'd like to. I have watched The Seeds of Death, which is kind of like the sequel to it, and it's just a brilliant Charlton actually. It's one of the surviving Deborah Watling Victoria stories, and I think she's a great companion in this. It's just a very strong story in my opinion. But you know, that could change it when I rewatch it. It usually tends to when you go back and rewatch stories like this. But I think it's a very commendable story and one that I wouldn't say not to get. I wouldn't talk about badly or anything. The next story, that one just fell out, but we're not going to go for that one. We're going to use The Keeper of Traken. Ooh. I couldn't find any figures from this story, so I literally just decided to grab the book, which has a lovely cover, and I'm going to place there and it'll probably fall over. But yeah, The Keeper of Traken, this is not the best selection of stories, I won't lie to you, because it's one that I need to rewatch again. And I'm finding it really hard to comment. It's obviously Tom Baker's penultimate story, and this is first story. And I know, I do remember, however, Anthony Ainley is brilliant in this. And so is Sarah Sutton. I think she was only 19 when she filmed this story, so absolutely no complaints here. And I'm sure when I give it a rewatch in the new year, it's going to be an absolute belter of a story, as I remember it to be. So let's have another dig. Sorry that I'm not being very detailed in most of these. Let's hope we get a good story now, because I've watched loads of Who in 2020. Oh no, this isn't very good. It's The Invasion of Time. So The Invasion of Time is a little bit of a weird story for me. I do remember it being quite bland and boring and just a little bit not great. Leela's exit at the end is very abrupt and sudden and it's a disservice really, because Leela is one of the best companions ever in my opinion. So to have her literally just say and not really have a proper goodbye is a little bit sad. The Sontarans, they look a bit dodgy. And some of the scenes are just a bit, I mean, I just remember that Sontaran tripping over the chair, but it's not one of my favourite Tom stories by any means. It is from season 15, which isn't a great season as it is, apart from the wonder that is Horror Fang Rock. But yeah, it's not the best. It's not the best, I'll put it like that. But who knows, maybe I'll give it a rewatch, but I'm not fussed, really. The next story that we've got is... Ooh. The Dominators. I don't know if that's focusing, but there we go. Aha. Now, as I know for a fact, I don't have any figures specifically from this story, apart from Charlton, who's downstairs at the moment. Don't ask why, he just is. But yeah, The Dominators is a weird story. It's a weird 5-parter, but it's actually quite good. Everyone says it's quite boring and bland, but it's got the same sort of feel to it as The Crotons, which I believe is a lovely story. Both of them sort of go nicely hand in hand, and they'd make quite a good box set in my opinion. But that's just my sort of feel on things. But yeah, The Dominators is a nice story actually, quite easygoing, a nice Sunday afternoon. And if you want something a bit longer than a 4-parter, but not as long as a 6-parter, go for The Dominators, because honestly, it's not that bad, and Charlton's great in it. Ooh. What doctor is it going to be? It's going to be... Oh no. Frontios. Yeah. Let's get some target books of Frontios. Frontios is an interesting one because I watched it last year and I actually reviewed it on the channel. And I actually don't remember a lot about it, at all, thinking about it now. However, I think I gave it a 6.5 then. And I don't know, it's just something's missing from this story. I've never been drawn to it. But I watched it last year. I think, like I said, I gave it a 6.5, so it's a pretty average story. I wouldn't go in a rush just to get it. I believe it does come in a box set with The Gunfighters, which is a brilliant story on the other hand. But yeah, it's just average, it's okay. If you're a fan of the Fifth Doctor, Turlo and Tegan, by all means, but it's not one of the greatest in my opinion. Let's go for 2 more, I think. Yeah, 2 more. Ooh, I'm hoping for a Sylvester actually, because I haven't had him yet. Ah, Frontier in Space. I think I watched this story in about 2018 or the year before that maybe. And yeah, I was pleasantly surprised. It was probably the second time I watched it and I haven't watched it properly since. However, it's a nice little story actually. It's the last appearance of the best master, Roger Delgado, which is very sad. But yeah, it's a very nice story. 6 parts, and it's basically like a space opera. It's with the Draconians, we've got the Daleks at the end, the Master, the Ogrons I think are in it. It's just a really good story, and actually it's quite underrated, and actually I would like to rewatch it at some point soon, because Pertwee's on his, you know, he is one of my favourite Doctors. He has been very good this year for me because I've watched a lot of Pertwee. So yeah, just a brilliant story actually, and I'd really recommend just the Dalek War box set as a whole, because it's quite an important piece in Doctor Who, and it's just a classic prime example of what a Pertwee story should be. So that's that. Now let's have another dig. Oh, come on. Oops, sorry, Joe. Ooh, we've got a story here. Oh, we haven't. It fell back into the pot. Come on, here we go. Here we go. It's Battlefield. What can I say about Battlefield? I watched Battlefield in February as part of the Season 26 Blu-ray box set, and that was the first ever story that I had seen on one of the Blu-ray box sets, because it was the first in Season 26, and oh, I forgot how much I love this story. I think I gave it an 8.5. Brigadier is amazing, Ace is amazing, Doctor is amazing. Apart from some dodgy acting for some people, it's just a great story. And I see how people can say it's a bit complicated and a bit much, but I think Jean Marsh is great as the villain. Oh, I forgot what her name now, but it'll come to me. And the sword and the sort of Merlin aspect to it. I think it's Merlin. Yeah, I think I just don't want to sound like an idiot there. But yeah, brilliant story actually, and one that I'd really recommend. It's just so cool and fun, and McCoy, he is my favourite Doctor, and this episode sort of justifies that really, so that's all I really have to say. And I'm glad we got a McCoy, because it's a good McCoy. I think we'll go for one more, maybe. Let's go for one more. Why not? Ooh. What a one to end on. The Green Death. Sorry, that's not focusing. I know it's not, but the Green Death. To me, The Green Death is a story I need to watch again. I hate saying that because it's a bit boring, but it's true. I'm not going to try and give a little review on a story I haven't watched in a while. However, I do remember absolutely loving the story when I watched it about 5 years ago, and it is well overdue for a rewatch. I think we can all agree. I mean, Joe is just fabulous in it. The maggots are fabulous. Pertwee is fabulous. I mean, it's just a classic from Series 10, isn't it? I know it's quite, it follows after Planet of the Daleks, which follows Frontier in Space, so you've got a bit of a Series 10 theme here, but it's just awesome, and the maggots, oh, and I know this was one of my dad's favourite, well, it is one of my dad's favourite stories, as, I believe he watched it when he was a boy, when it first came out, which is lovely, actually, so, I mean, it's just great. There's nothing to not like about this story. I think Mike Yates is particularly good in it, and when Pertwee dresses up as the cleaner, what can I say? What can I say? So, shall we do one more? I feel like we should just do one more. I know we should have ended on a high on the Green Death, but I'm really liking doing these. So let's do one more. Sorry, Pertwee, just going to move you out the way there for a sec. And please be a good story to end on a really good high. I know you can't really get much better than that, but watch it be like Underworld or something. Ooh, it's The Abominable Snowmen. I don't really have too much to say on this because it's a missing story. However, I will say just before I go, it's a brilliant story and I can't wait for it to be animated, because I've read the Target book briefly for like 4 years ago, and it sounds like such a lovely story actually. The first appearance of the Yeti, I believe, Victoria's in it, Jamie's in it, I just love this. This is the story that I would choose to be animated because I feel like it's criminally underrated. And although, you know, you can't really access the original, I just think it's so important for people to access this story in some way because I believe that it can be a classic if it is restored or found. That would be much better, wouldn't it? So I will finish this video here. It's been, what, 16 minutes, 15 minutes now? But I want to thank you all very, very much for watching, and please leave down in the comments an answer to the following question. Would you like to see me, A, do another one of the classic bowl, so we can get more classic stories reviewed? Would you, B, like to see me do a new Who bowl, because I have got a new Who bowl, and I'm more than happy to do that. That would probably be the most likely option, I think. Or C, just never do these again because you found this video boring, and if you have, then I assume you probably wouldn't be watching the end bit. You'd have probably clicked off by now, but that's besides the point. So there we go, guys. I won't keep you any longer. Thank you very much for watching this video, and I will see you in the next one, whenever that may be, hopefully before Christmas. Bye for now.